Mary, thanks for doing this. Glad to have you here. So what we're trying to do here at Startup Analytics is basically bring up the no fluff version of data, right? Stories from real people who've actually worked in the industry, spend time, getting their hands dirty across the board, right? And I somehow ended up, on one of your blogs. I ended up reading it, and I really liked it because there was a lot of this perspective that I felt I had, but I was not able to relate with people. But I think when you mentioned it, I was able to really empathize and also, connect with a lot of the opinions and all. I totally agree with a lot of them, right? And yeah, I felt it will be good to pick your brains and get your perspective, right? And yeah, thanks for doing this. As we started, the first question is, who are you, what do you do, and how did you end up here? Yeah.
Sounds good. Also, really a pleasure for me for being part of this podcast, and also really happy that you enjoy my blog. For a bit of background about me, I originally studied computer science in Belgium. Next, I did a PhD in medical image computing, and I also still worked for a year as a postdoc at the energy department of the university. In 2012, I landed my first job in Canada, and that was as an NLP software developer at Maluuba. So Maluuba was a company who built a Siri clone for Android. And what I was responsible as an NLP software developer was for the primary classification. So in case you would have a question like, how is the weather today? That was a weather query. How are the Blue Jays doing? That was a sports query. So basically that is dimensionality reduction. And I was training support vector machines for that. I was responsible for improving the quality of the training data, for adding extra classes, and then also actually for translating the system from English to French. Next, I was at D2L, an online course development platform where we were building machine learning algorithms to improve the user experience. And then next, I still was at a few other startup companies where I was focusing on marketing and sales analytics, like FunnelCake and TalkIQ, what got acquired by Dialpad. And then next, actually, I also got involved more in the online meetup world, and not online meetup world, like the professional meetup world. So first as an attendee, and eventually I started organizing events. Right. And by 2020, I organized like 2 or 3 meetups. And then it's also kind of a way that Meta picked me up, and I started interviewing with them in 2017. And eventually I joined them in the beginning of 2020. I stayed there for 4 years, and now I am working on looking for my new job, but also rebuilding my data influencer brand, and at the same time also writing my blog and combining my personal and professional experience with LLMs, and in that way hope to help data people grow into their careers.
Awesome. I think that's one of the most interesting journeys, right? From a PhD to an NLP developer I think I actually saw through your journey, right? I think you played multiple hats, from being a machine learning data scientist to a data architect, and also as a data engineer. I think you were a data engineer at Meta, right? So I think you've seen it from all the angles. So it actually gives you a very interesting vantage point of how different roles intersect to make data work, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And what I would want to say here is actually, depending on the moment in time, the name of the role that you're doing might just change. Because eventually data scientist at the end of the day is a pretty new name, and therefore initially it was people we had some mathematics background, programming background, who could tackle hard problems. Then even for example, when I was working at Mapton, we had a machine learning developer, but the reason that we actually came up with that name was we got an extra slot to hire somebody, and we needed to have something which was really catchy, so that a lot of people applied for it. And that's actually when we called it machine learning developer. But the most important thing to also note is, like, for example, when we were working at Maluuba, we still
Uh-huh.
needed to implement a lot of the algorithms
Yeah.
ourselves.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
what is
Yeah.
now a change actually is you have a lot of more things available. So now you can really focus on your data, improving your data, and solving
Right.
harder problems.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's kind of
Yeah. Totally. I think around 2012, the time, right? I think it's still quite early, I would say, because when I started my career in 2016, right? I think
yeah,
the term data scientist kind of got kind of popular, so there are a lot of firms hiring for that role and stuff. But I think 2012 was still quite early for that, right? So,
yeah,
in fact,
exactly.
I think even when I started off, right, a lot of the nuances around what is building a model and how to put it in production, right? All
Yeah,
these challenges are yet to be figured out. I remember SageMaker was very simple and not so complicated software at that time. But now I think you have a lot more things available, and you have something like
exactly.
Databricks, which is in full-fledged, complete data science platform, right? Which is pretty much takes care of everything. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, great,
exactly.
great. So a
Exactly.
big, long journey. Yeah.